button.
It is. Go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the recap show. Appreciate you tuning in.
That's right. So it's Meadow Dad, Thor the Red. We're back. The weekend report. College football. There were games played yesterday. Just not as many that were scheduled, but that's okay. Let's get started. Notre Dame, Boston College. I guess we'll go with that first. Ian Book, 20-27, 283, 3 touchdowns. Looked great. 10 carries on the ground, 85 yards and touchdown. They did what everybody expected them to do, beat Boston College.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that they won. We've been giving Notre Dame a lot of grief on this show, this channel rather, all season long, and I'm not about to stop doing that. But Ian Book looked really good. Their running game looks great. I know earlier in the season, before the Pitt game, they were saying, well, can Notre Dame throw the ball? Well, they looked real good throwing the ball yesterday. Kind of thinking they're forced to be reckoned with in the ACC.
That's right. They run the table. I kind of feel like they're going to give them a chance, and if Clemson somehow eclipses them in the ACC title game, they're probably going to give Notre Dame opportunity.
Yeah, they might put two ACC teams in. I'm not really ready to put Notre Dame there right yet, but they're looking really good. You know, Boston College is not a bad football team. They jumped all over Clemson. They just had trouble finishing. In this game, they jumped up. Or they started out fast really against Notre Dame, but couldn't sustain. Right. So that's a pretty good win, especially coming off that win against Clemson.
Could have been a letdown.
Yes, exactly. Could have been let down, and that's a sign of a really good team of not letting that happen.
Back in '92, after they beat Florida State, they ended up losing to Boston College.
Yeah, on a field goal at the end of the game.
So good for Notre Dame. They're getting it done. Let's move over to the Florida-Arkansas game. Kyle Trask is 23 of 29, 356 yards and 6 TDs. The man might be the number one Heisman candidate. Right?
Yeah, he's got to be between him and Mac Jones, but I would say Trask has got to be the front runner. I was thinking about that this morning. Dan Mullen's supposedly the QB guru. I don't really see it because Felipe Franks was starting over Trask last year until Felipe Franks went down with an injury. Felipe Franks is now at Arkansas and looking really good. He threw for over 300. And what was that? I don't see the stats for Felipe Franks, but he looked pretty good. Anyway, we're talking about Trask. Trask looks awesome. He looked great against Georgia. He looked great yesterday. Florida's offense is a freaking juggernaut. Their defense kind of scares me, and I was flipping back and forth, but had it on Twitter, and there was one college football beat writer, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was basically trashing Florida's defense the entire game. I'm like, are you going to give their offense any credit at all? That matchup against Alabama is going to be fun. Definitely take the over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to predict that game, but Florida looked really, really good. Put up 63. Arkansas is not a bad football team. And they didn't have Kyle Pitts. They're just throwing the football wherever he wants. Kyle Trask is throwing wherever he wants, and his guys are coming down with it. So
Florida's just trending in the right direction. Right?
They are. And could this be, what do you call it, lightning in a bottle for them? They've got a lot of upperclassmen wide receivers, Kyle Pitts, Trask. Yeah. What's going to happen when they leave? I don't know. I think Florida's a program on the rise right now.
Yeah, they're playing well. Miami, Virginia Tech. Miami takes it in a squeaker, 25-24. Justin Fuentes has been in Virginia Tech 5 years. They're 4-4. Miami 7-1 with Manny Diaz. Miami's playing some decent football. They're 7-1, winning games.
Miami was the underdog in this game, and they were down until the end. Derek King, brought him back. It was an ugly game. I had this on TV as well. It was an ugly game. Virginia Tech looked good, and then they kind of just couldn't hang on. But that's a sign of a good team. Number 9 Miami, it's a close game. You got to find a way to win those games.
Moving on, Indiana, number 10 in the country. Crazy, I know, right? 24-0 getting Michigan State. 4-0. They're getting it done. Michigan State, not so much.
I thought Michigan State was going to have something more. Yeah. Not just for this game, but for the season. I really thought Mel Tucker was going to have him, right the ship, and maybe he will. Maybe it's just taking a little bit longer. This is a weird year. Penix looks good for Indiana throwing the football. The wide receiver, Fry something. Freifogel. That dude looks like a legit #1 wide receiver. They're looking good, so I'm really happy for Indiana. Maybe give Ohio State a little bit of run for their money maybe next week. So.
Maybe make it close in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
you know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Make it so I don't want to have to change it to another game by halftime.
Right. We got Oregon, Washington State. Oregon 43, Washington State 29. I heard Pat Forty say something on Twitter that Pullman, Washington is the grimmest college town
I saw that tweet too.
in the nation, which probably is. But what to say? Oregon 2-0, they're winning games. I didn't see the game, but what do you think?
I watched this game along with the next one on the Wisconsin-Michigan. I had them both on.
Yeah.
Oregon looked good. The QB, I don't know how you pronounce it, Stough, Stough. He looked kind of shaky. Threw a pick, fumbled, but never let it deter him. Even though Washington State in the beginning of the game was moving the football, second half the defense of Oregon clamped down. You can see they got athletes on the D-line. Oregon looks just like Oregon, that we kind of been watching the last 10 years. They've got dudes that are kind of small, but just fly around and you can't cover them. There was a guy, I think it was like number 26. I think his name was like Dye or something. He looked like a dude that should not be playing Division I football. He was tiny, scrawny, looked like he hadn't ever seen a dumbbell in his life. But the dude was making plays every of the play. It was him making a catch on the backfield, running a 30-yard run, catching a slant from the slot for a touchdown. They just have athletes all over the field. And just like Oregon, that we come to know and love, they're taking 3 stars from Texas and Southern California and turning them into playmakers. So they look pretty good. Only, I think, 4 more games. So they got them, they let up 29.
Yeah.
They got to give the eye test to the committee because they've only going to play 6 games this year.
They're going to tighten up. Okay, here's the game. Wisconsin-Michigan. Wisconsin destroys Michigan 49-11. Graham Mertz, 12 of 22 of 127 yards and touchdown. Didn't matter. Is Jim Harbaugh gone?
I think he got to move on from him. I've been told by some people I know, just some friends of mine, that's college roommate who worked there, and he's a big Michigan fan. He's basically like, well, this is Harbaugh's job as long as he wants it, but he's probably going to leave after this year. I don't think it matters. You got to move on from him.
It's gone.
I want to talk about Penn State later too because I watched both of those games and both of them look really bad. Penn State looks like a bad football team. Michigan just looks like a bad program. Watching the game, and Wisconsin gets up 14-0, and Michigan just quit giving effort. Wisconsin would make a handoff, guys running up the field, and tacklers just didn't feel like making a play. You could see they just didn't feel like it. First play of the game, threw an interception. Just didn't feel like being there. It looked like
They've held it in.
After a couple of things didn't go their way, they looked like they were just like, all right, screw it. We're at home. We just want to get this game over with and go hang out with our friends. That's what it looked like. And Wisconsin hasn't practiced in 2 weeks.
They came out here.
They came out looking like there was no worse for the wear. It looks like they've been practicing all along. So I'm really glad Wisconsin's good. I'm glad they found a dynamic quarterback. Just like with Indiana, I'm glad maybe we'll see somebody give Ohio State a fight.
Yes. I mean, Wisconsin hasn't had a quarterback since Russell Wilson. This is what, 2012?
Yeah.
I mean, so who knows? See what happens. A game I saw late, USC Arizona. Kind of exciting there towards the end.
Yeah.
With 3:30 left in the game, USC scores on a passing TV from Slovis. Keaton Slovis? Keaton. Okay, yeah. And Arizona gets the ball back, marches down the field. They left too much time on the clock. They score a touchdown. And then, with 25 seconds left to go in the game, USC just found a way to score a touchdown, and that was it.
Another tip pass into the hands of a USC player. How convenient.
Yes.
USC's got good athletes. Their best playmakers is Keaton Slovis, and then the wideouts they've got. Number 15 is a monster. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, that guy's awesome too. The last 2 weeks I've watched this game as well, and I watched them play last week. You kind of watch them, and you're kind of like, okay, come on, let's go. Because they got the playmakers, and it's like they're kind of slow. They turn it on, but Keaton Slovis, when you look at him, And they put the camera on his face, and he's looking over the sideline. How looks like he just doesn't give a shit. He's just like, okay, we're gonna run this play. Kid's good though.
Yeah.
He's making plays. They don't look super pretty, but you know they're a good football team. I think Oregon's probably a better team right now, but you know USC's got athletes.
6 games from now, who knows? You know. So you want to discuss the Penn State game?
Yeah, we're looking at the top 25, right?
Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can.
Basically, I mean, you don't need to pull up the score. I mean, two teams haven't won a game. Someone's got to win the game. Both teams made plays. Both teams looked at times like they didn't want to win the game. What's his face? Sean Clifford looked like crap. He leads the Big Ten in turnovers, and he had a couple more today, or yesterday rather. They pull him, and then the guy, I think it was Lennox, that they bring in for Penn State. It reminded me of the Felipe Franks, Kyle Trask situation. It's like, well, this dude's playing. They bring in this other guy. He looks not only more comfortable, he looked better throwing the football, he looked better running the football, he looked like he knew what he was doing from the get-go. It's like, why was this kid playing the whole time? And he was the reason that Penn State kind of got back into this thing. As you can see the score, they didn't do squat in the first half. Kid comes in, they score 17 points in the second half, and we're in place to tie the game.
And I saw you make a comment on Twitter about, is Penn State actually going to come back and win this game?
Yeah, I mean, because it looked like they were going to do that. Nebraska, hot start,
Cool.
27 points in the first half. They scored 3 in the second half. That's it. Because Penn State was like, all right, we're not going to let this happen. They locked it down. And then Nebraska had that one long drive for the field goal that kind of took time off the clock. And they made a couple of key fourth down stops. But Penn State looked like they were in it. It looked like they were going to at least come back and tie it. And they didn't. Which is why I said Penn State looks like a bad team when Michigan looks like just a bad program.
Right.
Penn State was fighting at the end. Offensively and defensively, they were fighting. All is not lost for them. They've got 4 more games. Really think that the meat of their schedule is gone. They're done with Ohio State, Indiana. I know they got to play Michigan. Penn State should win that game. I don't really know what's left on their schedule, but they can at least salvage something on the season. This year, everybody's making a bowl. They can go 4-4, win a bowl, go 5-4. And in this COVID year, that's not good, but it's not like, hey, let's fire the damn coach bad, you know? Yeah. So, you know, they're looking bad, but there's some promise with that kid. I think it's Lennox. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's what I heard the announcers call him, Lennox.
Right. All right. Well, anything else we want to add today?
You know, it was a good week for watching different games that you normally wouldn't watch. We had one of the biggest rivalries in college football, the Alabama LSU game, postponed. I think the SEC had 4 games, 4 total games postponed. UCLA Cal is going to play today. You know, so it looks like a lot of these games, you know, they're going to make an effort. The SEC made a ruling that if your game gets postponed, you can just jump on with another team as long as, I think the rule is as long as they're on your schedule in the future, you can just add them right away and play. That's going to be more about that's coming up tomorrow. So, but it was a good weekend overall. Everyone in the media is going to make a big deal about the amount of games that got canceled this year, and it's only like 13% of the games have been something like 400 something games so far this year, and 56 gotten canceled or postponed. So don't buy into that. Just enjoy
negative Nancy.
Yeah, just enjoy what you got, because you know we don't know how much longer we're going to have it. So
I mean, I think we're getting the season in. I think they want to have pushed the playoffs back at least a few weeks. Even though I know they don't want to do that.
Yeah, the bowls are pushing against that.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I see the only way they can get the schedule in is by pushing this back a little bit.
I think if Ohio State misses another game, you know, they didn't play last week or yesterday. If they have to miss another one, you're going to see a big push for the playoffs to be pushed back. You're already seeing a little bit now, but you're going to see a big one if they have to miss another game.
You got to get the best 4 teams.
Yeah, and you're not going to see an issue with anybody else, because half these teams are already at the end of their schedule. You know, the ACC, Big SEC, and Big 12 only got a couple more games left. They've already played like 6-7 games.
Yeah.
You know, the Big Ten's played 3 so far, or 4. So yeah, it's 4 after this week, right? So then their schedule's halfway done because we're only playing 8 games, but you got to play at minimum, I think, 6 games to make the conference championship. So, like I said, Ohio State misses another game due to COVID. Maybe not their fault, but the team they're playing,
Right.
you're going to see a push, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. So.
But it's 2020. Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to conclude this episode of Middle Dad and Thor No Football, the weekend report.
Appreciate you tuning in.
That's right. Well, you guys have a good day, and we'll see you later on in the week.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.